Welcome to this special edition of Inside Story. You're about to see an extraordinary mission with a very inspirational message, and that's hope. Volunteer medical staff from the United States and the region, including Hong Kong, are here in Shantou, China for Operation Smile. Their mission? To provide mainland children with deformities a second chance in life. Now, you'll also see the resolve of the people and their plight in seeking a better future for their children. Shantou, Guangdong Province, the traditional homeland for Qiuqiao people. And it's Chinese tradition that dictates children be treasured and parents be proud. In this city, there's no exception. But as children dance and play, others struggle for some semblance of normality. 3-year-old Wang Chuiping is one of them. Her parents, wealthy by Chinese standards, had abandoned her shortly after birth. Her crime? Having a hair lip and a cleft palate. 20-year-old Wu Jinlan calls Chuiping her own, after the baby girl was left at a temple, a common destination for unwanted babies. With her is 77-year-old Lin Shui-jin. The two nuns have traveled more than 100 kilometers for a chance to have Chuiping's deformity corrected. The nuns stay with a devout Buddhist, and a fundamental teaching of Buddhism is that misery accompanies existence. But for Chuiping and many others like her, there can be a much more promising life despite hardships from day one. Short of money and food, what's sustaining them is hope that Chuiping's case will be accepted during Operation Smile's mission here. Another who faces possible disappointment is 78-year-old Lao Guiying. She hopes Wang Shuiqing will be accepted. Just over a year old, the baby boy looks healthy. But beneath the smile is a debilitating defect that's already proven too much for the parents to bear. She found him in a cardboard box left at another temple. Wang Shuiqing's gums are partially fused. That makes eating difficult. And as the baby grows, so too will the problem. Knowing their journey is hardly over, all the nuns can do now is wait for word from the hospital. For a number of people, their journey and their dreams end here. With the limited number of cases to be accepted and the limited time for doctors to perform the operations, many who've traveled from afar hoping for a better future for their children will have to be turned away. At the hospital, Operation Smile staff scramble to organize the hundreds of cases doctors will have to consider, prioritize, and ultimately reject.
They're right in order, so if you just put a name.
Here, each of the 400-plus children registered are known by number, and just over a third will be taken in. But despite the odds, latecomers hope for a chance for their children.
60 kilometers. And how do they trans?
Lin Ji-chuan is relieved his two daughters are to be operated on. They don't have a hair lip or cleft palate. They're burn victims. His son died in the fire, and the family is virtually homeless. The Lins traveled more than 30 kilometers to seek help for 7-year-old Lin Chun-mao and her 9-year-old sister, Lin Chun-xi. The scars make any kind of movement difficult and often painful. The Lins are realistic as to what the doctors can do as they prepare their daughters for the hospital sting. Now it's Chun-mao's turn for a wash, a requirement before checking in. Chun-mao is issued the standard garment for the mission's patients. It's an easy way for staff to identify who will be going for surgery. Meanwhile, the nuns receive bittersweet news from the hospital.
You can get in it too. Oh, I want her to get in the picture.
Choi Ping's case is accepted, but Shui Qing's is not. Doctors believe the risks are too high, with the baby being so young and its mouth too small to perform surgery. The stakes are not underestimated. Last year, 2 patients died. Despite the risks, it seems parents are willing to go to extraordinary lengths to provide their children with a chance to transform their lives. But for those like Liao, they'll have to try again and keep the faith until the mission returns. Liao is disappointed, but not deterred. After getting the bad news, she and Shui Qing will immediately leave Shantou, taking their hopes with them back to the temple where he was abandoned. Welcome back to Inside Story. You'll find out in a moment getting accepted for an operation and getting prepared for one are two different things. Now, these parents here are waiting to register and bathe their children. Now, if the youngsters catch even a slightest cold, that means their operation will have to be delayed and possibly canceled. As parents and children wait, medical staff prepare for the stream of patients.
We're going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 170, 180 children, something like that. We got 8 hours the first day and then 10 hours every other day, except for the last day.
And communication is stressed.
Hopefully going to be more translators available on the floors. You'll be on the floors. Yeah, so, we've got somebody who speaks the language down on the floor, so remember.
And others are to be remembered too.
Sherry, Alan,
None of the best Christianity.
Oh, my goodness.
You go through a lot.
Stuart, Phil, Kale, Vanessa, Sue, and Christy.
For the first time, a team of Hong Kong dentists, nurses, and volunteers are on hand to lend support during the grueling stretch of operations. As staff take a shopping break, more arrive and prepare, like Ho Ching, a nurse at Tuen Mun Hospital. Well, what are your feelings right now being part of this mission?
So nervous and so excited. I think I'm at a beach between the U.S. surgeon and the Chinese people here. So I think they will run more smooth because we can communication.
She and others hope the territory can be a source of medical talent for future China missions.
Especially being Hong Kong people and we're so near to Shantou, we feel that Hong Kong people can really contribute to the cause. This year we have been recruited and also specifically more Chinese-speaking volunteers have joined for the purpose of translation and also immediate understanding of the problem.
We're growing all the time. We're looking at new sites to go into. We're getting more and more public support. We're getting more and more corporate and business support. We have volunteers coming from Hong Kong, from the United States, from Singapore, all working together because there's a common problem.
Well, before the operations, staff work overtime.
Who knows?
Christine, do they get the charge from you?
Where is anesthesia?
To make sure patients are tagged properly and parents refrain from feeding their children.
今天晚上12点以后就不要再吃东西了，清楚吗？你们清楚吗？是可以喝水，不过过了4点之后呢，你们要喝液体是要清的液体，不能够喝牛奶这一类的。Very important because if they have taken anything, any food or too much of fluids, they may aspirate, into their lungs when they are undergoing anesthesia. So we are emphasizing to the parents again that it is very important. They must not lie about the child whether they have taken anything or not.
Some things, though, are uncontrollable, like having a cough and an unfixed schedule.
Wait a couple days to see what happens.
Yeah.
Do you worry about if this kid was infected what's wrong? No?
Thinks it's a virus infection.
Okay.
Your first case is canceled. I told them to move everything up.
Okay.
So what's going to happen to the canceled case?
One of them has probably a viral infection, so we're going to watch him for a couple days and then reevaluate, maybe do it later on in the week.
So it's not given first priority. You have to bump them back.
Right. Because he's got a bad cough, and actually it's a bad X-ray.
Does this happen all the time?
Sometimes, yeah. So since we're only here for a week, we want to try to. Since we're here only for a week, we want to try to get all the operating time as much as possible filled. So that's why we're juggling everything.
Meanwhile, there are other preparations. For the Lin sisters, it's time for fun.
小睡快點，小朋友小睡快點。係咪小來靠一下邊度成北面？ So that's a lot.
呢啲無想乜嘢嚟？呢個寫腦幹寫破超。
哦，我剛剛啊，那吐了哈。
The first round of operations kicks off, and volunteers try to put the children at ease before they go for surgery.
Here we go. It's okay. Come on. Come on.
Oh, your head with the camera.
The skills of the doctors and nurses are tested under an assembly line-like atmosphere. They work quickly, but carefully.
Okay, buddy, you did fine.
Wake up and you can eat.
But one patient who does never makes it to one of the 6 operating tables after being fed noodles by a parent. I heard that there was one case where a parent had given some food to one of the patients and that had to be canceled or delayed.
Oh, this is extremely important. If anybody doesn't follow NPO instruction, we can't do it because this is, directly related to the safety.
That's not the only problem. Putting them to sleep and monitoring them are a challenge. Is it more difficult when the patients are young?
Some children can be more difficult because you're dealing with smaller structures, and their anatomy is different than adults. They have their head is larger in certain areas, and it makes it sometimes a little bit more difficult. But everything's just a lot smaller. This kid, however, is not very difficult because he's a pretty good-sized guy.
Now it's Chun-Chi's turn. Doctors are having a hard time putting a tube down her nose.
You can't open her mouth. It's scarred. Her mouth is scarred shut. Well, it's scarred so it's smaller. She can't open it as widely as we need to get the tube in. Lest you think we're terrible. She won't remember any of this. Good old Versed.
And we feel worse than she does. They're successful nearly 45 minutes later. Now doctors try to remove the scar tissue that's restricting movement in Chun-Chi's arm and hand. Dr. Law, a Hong Kong volunteer, assists in the operation, while 2 others from the U.S. team work on Chun-Chi's arm. What do you think right now?
I think this is the thickest scar I've ever dealt with in my life.
But at least it's a piece good.
She's so good.
How thick is it?
Oh, it's so thick. Look at it's a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch from there to there.
As doctors meticulously remove the tissue, Chun-Chi's parents are nervously watching what's taking place. About 4 hours later, doctors begin to wrap up the operation. But Chun-Chi's plight is far from over.
But we'll leave those pins in to hold her fingers like that for about 2 weeks. And take them out. Then they'll try to do some therapy on her hands to make them move. At least I hope they do. That's what she needs. And that will probably have to go on for many months.
Chun-Chi's parents are eager to see her. When they do, they're relieved. But doctors stress Chun-Chi's post-operation care is crucial.
She always has to keep her hand up, higher than her heart, you see.
But the Lins are only at the halfway point. It's now Chun Mao's turn.
Yes, sir. You see how badly she's... This is very great. Feel that. Feel that. It's this thick, hair scar, and she can't plant her place. This hand, all of this needs to be taken off, and then a skin graft placed. That's what I'm going to do this hand today. But that's all. She needs to come back and have other surgeries.
Chun Mao's operation is completed, to the relief of the parents. The sister's predicament is all too familiar for Charles Woods. His son is part of the U.S. medical team, And it's his first visit to China after a plane crash in the country left burns over 70% of his body.
I was one of the pilots who flew into China. I flew for China. We were based in India and we flew across Himalayan mountains into southwest China. And so I was one of those pilots.
And what does this trip mean to you?
It means a lot because to me, when you see people from various countries, you know you've got people here from different countries, and they come together and try to help these little children. It's very, very rewarding.
He later visits the sisters, hoping to reward them with chocolate, but Lin is unable to accept it, with Chun-Xi and Chun-Mao on a strict post-operation diet. As the sisters recover, excitement fills the apartment where Wu, Lin, and Choi Ping are staying. They leave for the hospital, where Choi Ping will get her chance at a life-changing operation. They arrive and wait to register Choi Ping, and then it's time for the hospital rituals. Getting blood drawn, and going to the communal washroom. The nuns barely notice the long wait for Choi Ping's operation. They've been waiting for this day since she was abandoned 3 years ago. As doctors work on her hair lip and cleft palate, next door, unconventional means of assistance are being used. All right, so what's the scoreboard at the moment?
Well, we did 34 the first day and 36 the next 2 days. I think today we did 36, so that would make it 72 plus another 34. I think it's 110 now, I think. Is that, how does that add up? I'm not sure.
Where's Alan?
Back next door, doctors are done with Choi Ping's surgery, and she comes out virtually without a scratch. The nuns are anxious about taking her home, but they must remain in Shantou for a day or two, so Choi Ping can return to the hospital to get her stitches removed. But Wu and Lin aren't bothered by that. They're happy Choi Ping can now do the simple things in life.
很开心的，哎，挺开心的，很欢喜的，头条都大隻了，真高了，食了門去，食袂老暗咗，謝謝，拜拜，拜拜，拜拜。
As for the Lins, Chun Mao and Chun Xi can't leave just yet. It will be at least 2 weeks before they're released. And they know it'll likely be much longer than that before all the scars can hopefully be removed. Hardships lie ahead for the two, but that fails to dampen their spirits.
青菜心聆听芭蕉王香更香，妈妈做我的水，爸爸种在我桌上，俺外甥爱劳动，认真教我好儿子。青菜青绿莹莹，辣椒。